Newly formed Hurricane Phoenix is now a Category 1, but it's expected to rapidly intensify.
The updated forecast track now shows Phoenix moving towards our viewing area.
This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation.
And we watch entire structures break apart and float away. We're going to stay with you as long as we can.
Newly formed Hurricane Phoenix is now a Category 1, but it's expected to rapidly intensify. It's still too early to know what effects, if any, Phoenix will have here in Tampa Bay, but we're keeping a close eye on the storm as it enters the Gulf.
The updated forecast track from the National Hurricane Center now shows Phoenix moving towards our viewing area as a major hurricane. The governor has declared a state of emergency. I want to emphasize that the projected landfall is only 3 days away. This is a quickly evolving and dangerous situation.
Hurricane Phoenix is projected to make landfall as a major hurricane somewhere along our coastline tomorrow. Counties have issued mandatory evacuations across all coastal communities, and bridges are expected to close as conditions deteriorate. Officials are urging residents to leave while you still can.
It's important not to focus on the center line. As we saw with Hurricanes Helene and Milton in 2024, the eye could make landfall anywhere within the cone of uncertainty, with impacts extending far from the center. Now, we're expecting sustained winds of 160 miles an hour and unprecedented storm surge of up to 20 feet in some areas, almost triple that of Hurricane Helene's. Locations that have never experienced storm surge before are going to be inundated.
The National Weather Service warns that catastrophic damage will leave some areas uninhabitable for weeks or even months.
Mandatory evacuations have been issued for this area. Leave now.
Phoenix is now a Category 5 hurricane. We are looking at a catastrophic and historic storm moving into our area.
Reports are pouring in of rapid surge inundation throughout Pinellas County. We want to go live now to our Gulfport camera and look at this. This is the highest we've ever seen the water here. We're still hours from peak surge.
St. Petersburg is essentially an island right now. This is unbelievable.
The National Weather Service has just issued a rare extreme wind warning. At 11:15, Doppler radar detected sustained winds of 165 miles an hour moving onshore. That means this is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. You want to take shelter in an interior room just as you would for a tornado.
Several wastewater facilities across the Tampa Bay area are offline due to power outages. The storm surge continues to rise here, and we watch entire structures break apart and float away. We're going to stay with you as long as we can.
We are on the 3rd floor of the Tampa General Hospital parking garage. The hospital is still operational, but will likely be inaccessible for days.
A viewer from Brooksville is reporting roofs being torn off of businesses. So this is an important reminder that this is not just a coastal storm. We are seeing significant wind damage well inland.
We're getting our first look at the damage this morning near Clearwater, and the images are unimaginable.
Aerial footage from Newport Richey shows widespread ongoing flooding. There have been over 1,000 water rescues across the region, and dozens of rescue teams continue searching the area for trapped residents.
Severe structural damage has closed the Sunshine Skyway Bridge for the foreseeable future.
We are standing near the site of Johns Pass in Madeira Beach, and I don't even recognize where we are.
We are trying to make our way into Hernando County, but the roads are completely impassable. The damage is substantial and widespread.
The images coming out of the Tampa Bay region are absolutely heartbreaking and difficult to see. This was the worst case scenario we hoped we'd never see, but always knew was possible. The storm has finally passed us, and now the hardest part begins, the recovery.
In September 2024, we were impacted by Hurricane Helene, which in effect did not come ashore, stayed about 100 miles offshore, but pushed a huge wall of water across our barrier island, causing intense flooding, loss of life, very catastrophic for us. And then 2 weeks later, in October of 24, Milton hit. It was just a rough couple of months.
The storm was Wednesday, and I thought, we'll get through it. I actually said to my staff, all right, guys, I'll see you on Friday. When I got up the next morning and the storm had pretty well calmed down, I called the chief of police and said, hey, when can I get out there? And he said to me, Angela, this isn't like anything else we've ever seen.
We had homes that had 3 to 4 feet of sand completely throughout. We could not make access. The roads were covered. That's the fire hydrants, the gas meters. There were dumpsters. There were cars that were washed from one side of the island into the other. Vehicles and boats embedded into structures that were leaking gas. And it was just a bad situation all around when we came back.
Helene absolutely destroyed us. At the motel, it was a total wipeout. The building had been in existence for 66 years. Never had a flood inside. And now it was flooded for the very first time. When I saw this, I knew I had lost everything that was within the building. It was really overwhelming at that point. And I did get affected in such a way for about 2 days. I was totally overwhelmed, depressed, and I realized there was no way of facing all this. Pulled myself together, got my family together, the friends that were ready to help us together, and we had a plan, and we just started cleaning up the whole place.
So the first week after Helene hit, it was really just collecting ourselves. I just contacted all my staff and said, hey, you know what? It's all hands on deck, and everybody pitched in, and we started digging ourselves out. We had at least 2 to 3 feet of sand on one of our properties, front to back. We took 180 dump truckloads of sand off of our property. The cost of that was in the tens of thousands, probably close to $50,000 just to get it off my property.
So our station had been destroyed. We had 3.5 feet of water come through the station. For 2 nights, we slept in City Hall with no power. We slept on the floor. We slept in our vehicles for a night. Mostly the command post was in my deputy chief and I's vehicles. And, we moved to where the greatest need was.
The community was a tremendous asset. There was always somebody willing to give us some advice, somebody willing to actually physically help us. And we did the same thing with people in between, the people whose homes were destroyed that they needed help.
Between Helene and Milton, my deputy chief and I spent 28 days straight at the EOC without going home. And at one point, my wife was able to come down. I finally said, just wait a minute. I'm going to sneak out and say hi. And I went up and gave her a hug and just broke down crying for about 10 minutes. I just needed to release that stress and pent-up frustration. And I think we saw a lot of that in our first responders, police and fire and EMS. All 3 were pushed to the point of more than they've ever done before.
The first month with Helene was a lot of, deja vu. We've been there, done that with Adelia. We know what everybody needs to do. We need to get the water out as soon as possible. Need to get the bottom half of the walls out as soon as possible. Mold is a real concern, so you want to make sure you stay ahead of that. Also document everything. Photos, videos, you have to write down everything.
We immediately had to start contacting our guests. And you can imagine that guests who were already scheduled to come and stay were trying to reach us and they couldn't get to us. But it took days and days and days to get my server back up and running in order for us to communicate with our guests. And to me, that was just as important as getting out there and starting the cleanup process, because our customers and our guests are very, very important to us.
With Ian, it had a lot of rainfall to the east of us. So all the lakes and rivers filled up with water, and in return, all that runoff had to go to our coast, to Gulf Coast in Tampa Bay. We lost 80% of our clams. It takes us about almost 2 years to grow a clam, about 1.5 to 2 years to grow a clam. The state does help you with a little bit of insurance. They pay out like 60% of your loss. That helps a little bit, but it takes over like 2 years to get paid. So unless you're established or diversified in other work, you'd be out of the clam business, and that'd be one less farmer we had in Florida.
We own a beach store, and sometime in month 2, when I just couldn't wait anymore to get some income in, and I had all this inventory sitting in my living room, we started just kind of opening in our parking lot on weekends, sell what we could, and then take another hour to pack it up and bring it home and put it away again. So we were in a very modified sales position for 6 months.
Businesses being adaptable is absolutely important. How can I continue business? Do I have the elasticity in my business model and my ability to adapt myself, my employees, to be able to move in a direction that's going to keep me alive as a business?
It has definitely been important to advocate for not only myself, but our area and how bad it was impacted during these storms. The more awareness to your area, the better.
We just put out another reel saying this is what it was, but this is what it is today. And that was another really big lesson too of how important it was to be transparent and to plan to educate our guests along with anybody else who would consider coming to the island.
A year post-storm, we had more of a plan as to how we were going to rebuild our public safety facility. And we knew we were still 18 months to 2 years out from that building being a reality. So what we did was contracted with a company that builds construction trailers. And we had 2 triple-wide construction trailers outfitted. One is a police station, one is a fire station. We have those currently sitting in the parking lot of our former fire station. Our residents are actively working with FEMA and their insurance companies and Division of Emergency Management to build back better. It's that kind of mindset that, when we rebuild, we need to be thinking about, if this happens again, and I'm sure it will at some point, how will we recover better and faster and stronger?
At the motel, it was a total wipeout, closed for 7 months. That's how long it took us to get back on our feet. During that time, you gotta figure out how to rebuild. And if you rebuild the exact same way that the building was prior, you get another storm in a few years, you're gonna have the exact same problem. We actually rebuilt this motel, and I know if we have exactly the same flood we just had, we can be reopened in 7 days. That's what we're shooting for. Be reopened in 7 days.
We lost a lot of properties within this community. So a lot of people who would normally be living here and supporting the small businesses, the restaurants and the shops are not here. I think what happens is when an area has been hard hit and it's been publicized that a community has been hard hit, your tourists are reluctant to come back in because they feel that there's going to be nothing there, it's going to be a mess. It's not. We have a beautiful beach and most people are open now, but we are just not seeing the numbers of people coming back in. They're just hesitant.
40% of businesses do not reopen after a disaster, and then 25% fail, a year after a known event. So the things that they should prepare for, once again, is insurance. And the biggest thing is, I would say, is just meticulous documentation is absolutely critical to preparation as well as recovery.
Flood insurance takes time. There's a lot to do in order to receive it, but it takes time and a lot of energy and a lot of documentation, and you don't get that money right away. And so we've always planned for cash flow to be there in case we needed it. It's critical, and fortunately we had it.
Long-term effects of these storms, you're definitely still feeling it even a year later financially. It's very hard to recover. Insurance is insurance, and you definitely rely on your staff and your family and your friends. Luckily, we are an amazing community in this area, and so all of our locals, as soon as they knew our doors were opening back up, they were beating down the door with reservations. And if it wasn't for this community, I feel it would be much harder. But you're never alone, and that's been huge around here.
The community spirit was critical to the recovery process. The businesses helped each other. We started email and text threads, and we would see what are the resources out there right now. We're all in this for the same reason. We all love the area that we live or that we work in, and we want our community to thrive. Everybody is sharing within each other, and I think that's critical, that all the businesses understand that everybody has something to contribute to helping each other.
One of the more important things you can do to prepare for a storm is to get to know your emergency management professionals. They're here to help you. During blue skies, we are working constantly on mitigation efforts. We're helping find programs that can supplement your investment in your community and in your business to be more resilient to storms like these.
It's very important to listen to your emergency management. We saw that with Adelia, with the delayed storm surge. We had the false sense of security when we walk out the next day and it's bright sunny skies, no wind, but we still have emergency management telling us there's a storm surge coming, and it's very important to heed their warnings.
One thing that I did not know is how to be prepared prior to a hurricane brushing us or hitting us. I had no concept. I was listening to the TV and the news in order to prepare, but it was too late to prepare the right way. Preparation for a hurricane starts months prior.
I don't think that I'll ever be complacent again. I think it's easy to go there when you have had so many near misses. That totally changed now. So if I could send a message to anybody out there, I would say, you never know. Don't take it for granted.
Community makes life a lot easier after a storm. All the people I hang out with, we were all out there the first week with chainsaws, just, burning it down. We were working from sun up to sundown, cutting trees, clearing roads. Anything helps, helping the lady on the corner just pick her yard up and get people back on their feet, just to hope they stay here and keep working.
As long as you're in Florida, you have to remain prepared. I strongly believe that business owners can learn from other business owners' experience. When you hear another business in the same industry, either same size, number of employees, revenue size, talk about this is what happened to me, and talk about their experiences from all aspects, from preparation, what happened during, and then after the fact of what their financial recovery looked like from an insurance and banking standpoint. It's very beneficial for businesses to get in a room and help each other.
I think it's really important that the businesses have some type of collaboration beforehand. It's not about being competitive with each other. The competitiveness should be something fun. Nobody wants to see a business close down. Nobody wants that at all. You really are working together, and the stronger each one of us gets, the stronger our community will be.